Yeah, welcome, new moon week, um, Monday.
It's a rainy Monday here.
Oh, is it? It's nice out here. It's sunny and lovely.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah, yeah. Today we're going to be talking about one of our favorite topics, which is manifesting your vision, doing vision work, and living your life's purpose. And it's a topic that we have been working with for a bit now. We've been holding these vision statement workshops and supporting people in finding their vision and writing it out and really realizing what it is, and then taking the steps to get aligned with it energetically and then to move towards it physically as well. Um, yeah, it's something we love. We love to talk about and we love to do, and we love to do in our own personal lives. Um, yeah, so let's dive in, Connie.
All right. Um, I think, when it comes to vision, a lot of folks have, over time, they develop a sense of their vision or their purpose, or they develop a sense of what could be their vision or what could be their purpose or what could be pieces or parts of their vision. And I think that's where, you know, writing it down and having a vision statement that you can refer to can be a very, very powerful tool because there might be, there might be like a period of time where your vision was kind of in this particular direction. And then it kind of shifts a little bit.
Hmm.
And so being able to have a written reference, I think is something that can be particularly helpful. Or doing writing about it,
Yeah,
just in general, I think is a really, really helpful tool.
yeah. It when we write, we make our thoughts more concrete. So we're just bringing all the stuff that's up here and we're pulling it down to make a little bit more sense of it. Um, yeah, and it's a lot of finding what your vision is, and we say this to our workshop participants and our clients all the time. It's taking the space to discover what it is, making it your own. Um, and I think one of the most important ways to do that is by experiencing different things,
Mhm.
right? Like trying different jobs, living in different places, traveling the world, trying different foods, playing with different types of people, um, just feeling and touching and experiencing and using our senses to be and doing different things. And that's when we can feel the contrast if something isn't for us, and we can feel the pull if something is for us. And so we can, sit in front of the TV all day and visualize and, think about all the things we might want. But until we feel those things for ourselves, we won't really know. So that's kind of where I've been, you know, just the past week or so, is like this feeling of like coming out of what feels very comfortable and pushing myself into not uncomfortable situations, but situations that I wouldn't normally go into because of, oh, just all the excuses, whatever those excuses are. It's not for me. I don't like that. And I've never done it before. Somebody else will do it. Somebody else can do it. Just all the other things. But to play with the stepping into that thing that is um maybe a little intimidating, but I've never done before. Maybe will pull me into a different space. Um, yeah, and it's been interesting to play with that. It's been really interesting, and it's part of it feels a little bit confusing, right? Like once I've tried some things, then I'm like, oh, I have more information now. What does that mean? Like, what do I do with that extra information? Right? It's like when you're learning something new, you've had an opinion about something for forever, and then you get more information. Now your opinion has to change, and now you have to work with your thoughts and maybe come out of like that comfort zone of being safe in your opinion. Right now, it's like, oh, I can see things maybe a little differently and play with them in a different way, which is for me, my experience this week has been very confusing.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing is that it provides the clarity. I like how you described it like that push and pull that you can feel, like whether or not you are attracted to, a certain situation or a certain activity, or a certain way of being versus like, oh, this doesn't work for me. And having those experiences can definitely provide that clarity. I think that it's also, when you're talking about like kind of like the downloads coming, in the writing, it's like there's also clarity that can come from that. And even writing about your experiences or writing about your
Yeah.
feelings or, what's come up for you. I feel like that's a really great way to, it's like it allows you to kind of take a step back into a little bit more of like, um, the seat of the observer, so to speak,
Hmm.
and allows you to take in a wider perspective.
And what about for people? I mean, part of a big chunk of our workshop is about writing your vision statement. What about for people who don't like writing, who writing isn't their mode of, you know, self,
Documentation
yeah,
or
yeah,
self-reflection.
reflection, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple different ways. I've known people who have, done like vision boards and, you know, cut out pictures and, done all that. I think that I I think that it can come in a variety of ways. I think that it can come through, um, if there's a way that you express yourself creatively, if you paint or if you draw, or I'm thinking of like, you know, um, a lot of folks when they were young, they would hang up, posters or
Yeah,
pictures or things like that up on the wall.
yeah.
Like, you don't necessarily need to do a vision board specifically, but there's
Mhm.
things that inspire you or images that you love that you can hang up in your environment that
Yeah.
you'll see. Um, I'm trying to think of some other creative ways that I've heard folks. I mean, even sometimes people's calendars are like so incredibly like this creative
Mhm.
expression,
That's true.
um, that can be, that can just be a guide for your priorities throughout a week, throughout a month, or so on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah,
any
to
other
be
ideas?
I think it's whatever to tune into second chakra. So second chakra is connected to your fifth chakra. And second chakra is where our creativity is. And throat chakra, fifth chakra is where we express that creativity from. So it's tuning into how does our second chakra express itself? And how does our creativity express itself? How do we speak? How do we share with the world the things that are within us? So it's tuning in to our own creativity, whatever that looks like for each of us, whether it's,
Mhm.
like you said, painting, drawing, um, clipping pieces of real estate.
It could even be singing, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, doing editing on Photoshop, building an app, like, I mean, right? Like, there's so many different types of people. Like, if you're the engineer type, you might want to be building something. You might want to be creating a blueprint of something. Um,
Mhm.
if you're more into reading, maybe it's like picking up a book and like it's pulling some quotes from that book to build your your it's coming out from up down here up and letting that out, letting that expression out in whatever form fits you. And so we really encourage that exploration of what fits you. For a
I
while, I wasn't writing. For a while, I was recording myself on my phone, and I
Mhm.
would just speak. Like I would just just let it all out because my thoughts and my creativity was coming out faster than I could write. And
Mhm.
so that felt, and for me to open up that throat chakra in that way was really, really helpful.
Yeah, I think
Um,
you said a key word, like the exploration. Like, feel like exploration and giving yourself permission to explore
yes,
is really, really, really key, because it's not like this is all, it's like it's all structured and final and finite.
right.
It's
Yeah,
changing, it's evolving, and
yeah.
so I think that there is a degree of exploration that is a part of the process, that is very helpful for it to continuously be a part of the process. I mean, I know both you and I have been writing vision statements for, over 12 years, and it's, like, the door for me is never closed on, revising or editing or shifting or shaping my vision statement.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's important to always be willing for it to fluctuate and um but you do need that space to think through and to feel through when is the right time for it to fluctuate. It's not it's most likely not going to happen, once a week because then we're just, we're going with the feelings, right? So like I had just a conversation this weekend about feelings change. Feelings are meant to change, right? So part of why we have a vision statement is to have an anchor that grounds us in our overall purpose because our feelings around that purpose will fluctuate, will change. And that's okay. And it's normal and it's healthy. And we can come back around it and go, okay, this is, a year into it. I don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm.
But the give yourself the opportunity to work with that vision before you just go, eh, you know, mm,
Well, it's like a reference point, right? It's like sometimes you have to hit a boundary before you recognize that that boundary is there.
right.
Or, you're like, "Oh, this is going into this particular territory, and I don't wanna go into that particular territory." It's a reference point so that you can really, it's like it's like our eyes really tell our body where we are in space. They ground our body with regard to gravity and all of that. It's like our eyes give us a sense of where we are in space.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's a similar thing with, having
The vision
clarity
statement.
around your vision work and your
Mhm.
and your purpose work, is that it gives you that equilibrium, in a way, that sense of equilibrium, that sense of balance, and also a reference to all the different pieces and what is around you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think it's also important with, with this description of like our eyes give us a reality check, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's important to keep in mind as we're working on our vision and our purpose to keep that reality check. And you share a lot about working with a vision statement partner. And so when we're sharing with somebody else our vision, we have that space for a reality check because it gives us so this there's this it's wonderful to think, without limits, right? It's wonderful to think beyond and above our wildest dreams and to like take it to the stratosphere, right? At the same time, I think that we can lose our grounding when we do that too much. When we lose the balance between dreaming our wildest dreams and wanting the most, having like high expectations for ourselves and for our lives, and we lose the reality check. There's no balance between that and being grounded in what who we are.
Don't you think though that that's part of the process of vision work is that it's like getting it right sized, getting
Right
it
sized.
like, like going through the process of, allowing yourself, to dream your wildest dreams, to document those, to write those
Mhm.
down, and then going through the process of
Yes.
clarifying, editing, prioritizing,
Yes.
what are the most important things. And then
Yes.
like I found for myself that process um, was able to create the clarity of what was right sized.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's, yeah, right sizing it is
Yeah.
it, and working with somebody else to help you do that is extremely helpful, coming
Yes,
out of our
extremely
own
helpful.
heads and having somebody else input and having somebody we trust with it.
Hmm.
we that can hold that space for us without judgment, to give us clarity, to give us the support we need as we make this foundation of like, this is what I am choosing for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what I just want to say is, I haven't found this like, you know, a short process or a quick process. I feel
Mhm.
like this is a very long term, um, you know, it's like it's part of like
Yeah.
an essential practice in a way. It just
Yeah.
doesn't the reevaluation of it, the considering of it, it just is something that comes up, like I've been reading my vision statement for the last couple months, and there's been a couple times where I'm like, "Oh, I can feel it's almost time for me to revise it,"
Mhm.
and change some things and edit some things out and change some wording and update some things.
Yeah.
Because I've been working with this particular vision statement for probably about a year now, a little over a year, and it's like now there's some shifts that have occurred in the last year. And so it's like acknowledging those and then also acknowledging the clarity that I've gotten over the last year.
Yeah, and would you say that from the beginning of when you started your vision work, that the essence of it has remained, or has the essence of it changed as well?
Hmm. I feel like I have to say that I do feel like the essence of mine has changed from like the first 2 to 4 years. And I think part of that was just that was such a tremendous period of growth for me,
Mhm.
um, that by the time I had been working with the vision statement for 4 years, it was kind of like a next level, next plateau, kind of thing. But I've definitely since that point, I feel like the essence has remained the same. You
That's
know,
cool.
and not to say that there wasn't
Yeah.
sparks of that essence in, those first couple of years. I just think that my ability to express it,
Mhm.
my clarity to express it, my courage to express it,
Yeah.
all of those things kind of played into it. I
Yeah.
think for myself, there was certain things that I was like, yeah, yeah, that's not possible. So I'm not even gonna entertain that. And then there was like a point where I was like, oh no, that's possible. And I'm going to entertain it.
Yeah, courage is a big one here. Courage is a
Mm-hmm.
really big one when it comes to vision work. Um, because once we say it,
Mm-hmm.
once we admit it to ourselves, then it's like, oh, now we feel a little bit of an obligation to move through with it. Otherwise, because we've put it out in the world, we've put it out in our world, and so it's always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so having the courage to admit to that
Mm-hmm.
is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. And I think that that's why writing for me is such an important tool in the process because it's it's I want to use the word safer for me
Mhm.
to write it down first. And then, you know, and then it's a bit of like, okay, I'm gonna give myself the time and space to get comfortable with that thought, with that idea, with those feelings that come up around all of that.
Mhm. Yeah, but you've taken it out of your own head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I encourage folks to find the way that they connect with their soul I'm sorry, their second chakra and the second chakra connected to the fifth chakra so that they can express it in whatever way that comes across for folks.
Yeah. And then the work, once the vision statement is done, or you have something to work with, then it's actually doing the physical work of making that vision and like the realization of the purpose, making that a part of your life. And so you can look at the different sections of it, you can look at the different sentences, however, whatever format it is in, and then pull from there and go, okay, so the focus for this week, or the focus for this month, or the focus for this year is this part of it. And
Mhm.
then becoming really practical of like, how am I going to bring that into my reality? How am I going
Mhm.
to create that? And then actually having some steps to move into it. And that
Yeah.
might take a while to start. It really depends on what you're like. It depends on if you're you know, fiery, like, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, or if you're like more of like a water, like, let me just kind of like feel into it before I take any actions, or air, like, let me just think it over and read it like, you know, a bunch of times before it can kind of like come down into my body. It really depends on just your constitution and how you create. But I encourage that, let me pull this little part out and work with that part for X amount of time,
Mhm.
and draw it out, right? Like, I take that and then I put it on as my to-do list. I look at
Mhm.
how, and for a while when I was working with a vision partner, that's the biggest part of what we were doing. We were looking at the vision. I would read my vision statement and I go, okay, so this is what I'm doing to come towards my vision this week.
Mhm.
And, it'd be a week of things, and then every day there would be something. even if it's something small, even if it's, um, I'm going to visualize, I'm going to sit and meditate on this for 3 minutes today. Or it's something big. I'm going to, sign up for that course,
Mhm.
or I'm going to hire a coach who knows what they're doing and support me in it, or I'm going to buy that plane ticket, or I'm going to go on a date, or, you know, whatever it is that leads toward that vision, or I'm going to have that conversation. I'm going to pick up the phone and have that, like, conversation that I didn't want to have, or whatever.
Mhm.
But taking those steps, um yeah.
Leads towards manifestation,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? And like you said, for certain things it might be quicker, and for others it might be a longer trajectory.
Yes.
But bringing your focus and your attention to your vision, to your purpose, with regularity is is definitely what leads you to those steps, to that clarity, and towards manifesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Cool. Nope, I think I'm good.
Awesome. Me too. Tomorrow morning we have a vision statement workshop. We still have some space in it. It's free. It's an hour and a half long. If you would like to join us, we would love to have you. Then the following one is the 28th, I think.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
right?
it's the 28th. Yeah, I think that's the last one we have in September.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, and after that, they are going to be paid. So this is your last opportunity, last two opportunities to take this vision statement workshop with us live for free. And we would love to have you. Um, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Have a great week, everyone.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.